found a piece of bone, I think it was, with these notes in a very similar position to what we might use today. Now, we'll get on to Shakespeare in a minute. Then we'll end it. Must be enough by now. A mixing of the senses. Can you taste words or see sounds as distinct colors? Some individuals can. Can you taste words or see sounds as distinct colors? Some individuals can. A few musicians tune their instruments by adjusting the colors they see when they sound the notes. Which is true. There's a connection. Each person is kind of idiosyncratic. Each person does it in their own way. They link, for example, the color P. Well, that has this taste. Or the color, you know, the letter P has this sound to it, or whatever they do. It's very personal. But they have their own way it's connected. And my eldest grandson, is autistic. Mildly autistic. And guess what? This ability is 3 times as common in autistic children as it is in the broader population. So, since our brain, apparently, can link specific notes to specific colors, it looks like there's a natural harmony between the senses. Everybody does it in their own way, but it's linked up quite well. And this obviously is just a German postage stamp which links up certain things as well along these lines. Plotinus. Knowing demands the organ fitted to the object. Well, here's my ear. Oh, yeah, right. Open my eyes. Oh, yeah, okay. The world is knowable, harmonious, and good, says Plotinus, who, to our knowledge from his friend Flaccus, I think, if I remember, speaks about 7 times that Plotinus had these wonderful experiences, which we had on the previous slide. And Plotinus says God is not external to anyone, but is present with all things, though they are ignorant that he is so. So the same way, you know, if you want to look at a sports channel on the TV, well, you need a TV. That would be the organ fitted to the object. Now, I like the transcendentalists. I do. Thoreau, Emerson. Isn't this amazing? To me, we live in an age where seemingly the TV, the politicians, everybody thinks they know everything. That's me. I don't know whether you agree or not. That's sometimes what I think. They think. I like Thoreau. The universe is wider than our views of it. We'll see in a minute. Shakespeare thought so too. Guess what? Only 5% of the energy and matter in the universe is what we see and measure. The rest is either dark energy or dark matter. How do we know this? Obvious question. How do we know this? Well, the universe is not only expanding, apparently, it is increasingly expanding at a faster and faster rate. Only 5% of what we see is what we understand as atoms and molecules. Hamlet, Einstein. Hamlet. And therefore, as a stranger, give you welcome. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Einstein. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. What did this poet laureate in England say? He was naturally learned. What the heck does that mean? He was naturally learned. He needed not the spectacles of books to read nature. He looked inwards and found her there. Well, I found myself thinking, isn't that interesting? If what we know as energy and matter, atoms, molecules, and energy, if that's only 5%, then maybe this is possible. Sonnet 33. Now, when you look at some of the sonnets, not all of them, when you look at some of the sonnets of Shakespeare in this light of someone who had a spiritual or religious experience, some of them become easily understandable, as opposed to the literature explanation. Full many a glorious morning have I seen, flatter the mountain tops with sovereign eye, kissing with golden face the meadows green, gilding pale streams with heavenly alchemy. Well, stop here. Newton spent more of his time in alchemy than he did in mathematics and physics. But we ignore that. Who cares? But he did. Anon, permit the basest clouds to ride with ugly wrack on his celestial face, and from the full, and so it goes on. Number 39, very famous one. Oh, how thy worth with manners may I sing. Oh, guess what? Like Whitman. When thou art all the better part of me. What can mine own praise to mine own self bring? And what is it but mine own when I praise thee? Even for this, let us divided live. And our dear love lose name of single one, that by this separation I may give that due to thee, which thou deservest alone. O absence, now he's lost this, it's gone out of him. O absence, what a torment wouldst thou prove, were it not thy sour leisure gave sweet leave to entertain the time with thoughts of love, which time and thought so sweetly doth deceive. And that thou teachest how to make one twain, by praising him here, who doth hence remain. What is characteristic of these experiences, St. John of the Cross, for example, says, God wakes up in us. Exactly what John of the Cross says. God wakes up in us. We have these periods. It's not constant, but it goes. And then we have another period. Time is the same thing. Well, maybe we can say something along these lines. Oh, how wonderful it is to extol your virtues when you are the best about this new me. What can my praise about you and me do for me? This is just me giving a little bit of vent to what it might mean along these lines. Sonnet number 1, Shakespeare. From fairest creatures we desire more of this, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feeds thy light's flame with self-substantial, and then it goes on. I just put this here. From beauty's excursions in us, oh, wow, that's amazing, Lord. We want more, that her fairest work in us may never die. But as the older me will in time expire, let his heir and newer me remember. So it goes on. This is one sonnet, the last, which has given rise to some controversy, because people will interpret it in a very literal way. O thou, my lovely boy, who in thy power dost hold time's fickle glass, his sickle hour. So it goes on, as you see. You can all have a look at these yourself later on. Now, I think this may be something like this. O thou, my own awakened child, or as Shakespeare called it, little boy. O thou, my own little boy, or awakened child, holding power, I put it in my words here, to reset clock and time, who by waning has grown in me, and therein shows, and so it goes on. Now, sonnet number 35. You'll see in a minute that I'm convinced that Francis Bacon is the author of Shakespeare, for various reasons. Here is a sonnet where, look, no more be grieved at which thou hast done. Roses have thorns and silver fountains mud. Clouds and eclipses stain both moon and sun. And so it goes on. All men make faults, and even I in this, authoring thy trespass with compare. I put here, was this sonnet written after Francis Bacon's speech as an MP in 1593, when he swooned and let this mood come over him of this little boy, which was relatively new to him in 1593, when he was 32? Was this sonnet written, that last sonnet written after his speech as an MP in 1593, when he delivered, whoa, he paid the price, a flaming oration against the court and the Queen on the matter of subsidies, and offended the Queen, having swooned from giving in to this immature, lovely boy on new self. He paid a heavy price. He never got a position really after this from the Queen. It had to be when King James I came in afterwards. Who was he? A man of science and letters, whose being was attuned to, or now resonated with, the divinity experienced, whose mission was that beauty's rose should never die in us, i.e. that the animal instinct in us, the animal part of us, the part of nature, should not dominate. We should have a chance to find it. Laurence Olivier said, the nearest thing in incarnation to the eye of God. Now let's look at Francis Bacon.
Before you go,
yes?
That Sir Laurence Olivier quote, was that to Bacon, or